Charleston, and if please correct me if I'm wrong. That was your final show.
My last show.
Talk about that.
It was the summer of 2010, I want to say, that everything kind of hit the fan. We were trying to plan a tour for the summer.
So the band, Jacob and Chase went to College of Charleston, and that was one of the schools I was considering going to, but I fell in love with Coastal Carolina, and I thought it was probably going to work out. It was relatively close, and when you're playing a show once a month at least, it turns into once a quarter. The Oasis show was again, that was fun. That was really cool, and I didn't know that was gonna be my last show. You know what I mean? But I just kind of had this feeling, I guess, that it was sort of like sort of coming to an end, or something was gonna happen. Something was happening because again, it was just the amount of shows was going down, and I knew that. I mean, shoot, it was just a distance thing, and so you kind of sort of recognizing the somewhat borrowed time going on. Maybe it is sort of coming to an end, but shoot, I didn't treat it like that. I feel like we did really well. It was fun. It was a great performance. We had a great crowd. It was a cool stage, cool venue.
It was near Zaxby's.
Z.
We went there. We ate there. I thought that was just a great performance. I thought it was our strongest performance at that point. And, we didn't know at the time that the last one was Zach, but
yeah. So I'm wondering about this. So ends up being the last one because Zach is he's let go of the band.
Yeah, I guess it might have been a couple weeks later. We all kind of decided, Chase, Chet, and I decided that a change had to happen because we couldn't. The distance was too great.
So Zach ended up not coming home for the summer, and it was fine. It was fine. It was cool. We understood why he had a job, and so he had a good job and he wanted to keep it.
It was just because there was a disconnection. He was doing his own thing, and Save Illusion had things to do. Save Illusion's always been moving forward. And, yeah.
So we ended up with one of our practices, ended up calling Zach,
and so we had to make the call that we didn't want to make, because we were brothers, man. We all loved each other,
right?
And so unfortunately, I had to be the guy to make the phone call, and we were all in the room together. And I called Zach, and I said, "Zach, I think you know what this call's about."
It was like maybe a couple of weeks. It was in August. I remember I had just lost my job. I was coming home. I remember I got in my car and just got a phone call from Jacob. I thought we were just going to be talking about something. He was like, it was like one of the it's like shortest conversations ever. He was just like, "Hey man, I think you know why I'm calling." Something along the lines of that. You know what I mean?
Did you know why?
Yeah, I kind of. When he said that, I was like, you know what I mean? It's like just one of those moments where it's kind of like being in a relationship again. 5 years deep. It's just you have an emotional bond with these guys, and at the time, it was probably just a situation thing. I just was like, man, I can't talk to you right now. I just can't. It was I literally just lost my job. Just lost what was probably the most important thing to me for the past 5 years. Even though I knew that conversation was coming, but man, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I hung up my phone and I just like bawled. I'm like driving my car, like, just crying so much, because it's just like it was just all these things were happening at one time.
And I remember hanging up the phone and I was like, "All right, guys, I'm going home." And just got in the car and bawled because I love Zach. That was to this day one of the hardest decisions
hardest decisions I've ever had to make, but one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And I always wanted to bring him back. I always wanted him to be back in the band, but it just wasn't working out at that time.
So it was more of a just how do I say this? The timing and you guys. I know you guys were in like 3 different locations, and it just from a logistics, I guess, logistically, and maybe some other. There's some other things in place that just it wasn't happening.
No. Yeah, it just couldn't happen.
So I remember again, I just kind of, I didn't think I was mean or anything. I can't talk about this right now, and I couldn't. And that turned into, I can't talk about this ever. I didn't intentionally at the time. I guess I just started distancing myself. I was angry. There was a lot of emotions. Initially, you're kind of denial, then angry pops up. I'm not sure why. I'm not angry at this person, you know what I mean? But just in your mind, like, you know what I'm saying? But why couldn't you have these ideas that maybe you were kicked out? And I should have. I feel like I told him that night that I would call him back. I never did. It was just like it was better for me as a person just to kind of like.
It was kind of a big deal to actually, say, well, I know you put in a lot of hard work and you've helped us become more than what we were, but we're gonna have to let you go because now you're holding us back.
Later on, it was explained to me, and it makes sense. And I feel like he tried to explain it to me on that phone call. It was a distance thing. What made the band work so well was that he would come up with a riff. He would bring it over that day or the next day, and we would jam it out, and it would create a song. We weren't being able to do that anymore. You can't just make up excuses. And you have, if this is what you want to do, you kind of have to make tough decisions, and you got to just keep going. So, looking back on it, they're still together. I'm proud he did it. It was a tough decision they took, and it's just what it is.
Daggers in my back. Your vicious words won't leave my head. Tell me everything that I live. They'll take the pain and throw it right back in your face. And I will be fine. You're the one that's out of line. Score
Zach was out of the band, I think we tried to keep it as a 3-piece for a little bit at the time, just because I don't know if we were really that ready to have another member come into the band yet.
So Zach moves on, and then Chet decides he's moving to Wisconsin. Talk about that. I guess that part. He's moving to Wisconsin, and then playing that last show with him.
Yeah.
So that would, as the
That's
3-piece.
So I think about 2 3 months after Zach, we got some more bad news.
So Chet said, guys, I'm moving with my family to Wisconsin. I'm going to go to college up there.
You were with the band for 5 years.
Yeah.
Let's read this one. Can you share a little bit? Why did you leave, and why did you feel that was the right time for you to move on?
I was at a place in my life, I think, at the end of high school, coming out of high school, where I started dabbling into things, trying to find our lives, like find out what is life about, and made a lot of bad decisions. I was fortunate enough that I got the opportunity to go away and go to a school that was really far removed from everything, and that was even though things were going good, like with music and drumming, I still needed to step into something that would help me gain clarity.
And, obviously we didn't want that to happen, and we said, maybe we can make the distance work and keep.
From Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't know how we would have done it,
Right.
but we always find a way, man. That's part of the band. We're resilient. And so, ultimately, there was nothing I could do about it.
So to leave the band, it was really conflicting, because it's like, oh, you don't have to leave the band. I think that was the impression that I got, so I didn't have to dismember myself from it. But it was the point where I wanted to shift things in my life.
And so we just accepted it and said, you know what, we'll have this one last show with you at this place. Again, now closed. All of the rock clubs have kind of closed. But so we played this last show as a 3-piece. We played songs that, we wouldn't normally play, kind of like deeper cut songs, and it was just, we had a great time. And that was kind of, I thought, a really great send-off for Chet.
So you guys did it, and off to Wisconsin he went.
And so I think the last shows for both of those guys were fantastic send-offs, because Zach's last show was, again, I thought at that point the best show we'd ever played. And so Chet's, it was just a fun show.
And where did you end up moving to?
In Wisconsin, we were a couple hours north of Green Bay, so up there in the sticks, it was super isolated.
That's interesting. Isolation. Did isolation help you in terms of figuring out life? What your time in Wisconsin? What did that do for you?
Oh yeah, that was instrumental.